The mayor Ricardo McJuffin speaking. Ricardo McJuffin speaking on 107.5 WBLA. And they're playing the Killer music song. Earlier I saw the police coming around me and they made an arrest. The guy was naked, almost was appeared to be engaging in some nudity around me, peeing on the floor and laying on the pee. And they brought an MTA worker to be staring at me and looking at the guy. So it's like they're trying to frame me up as crazy as, to lock me up and kill me. Like they killed my mother's daughters, framed as crazy, Bolali and Fred 2015, lock her up in the cycle. So I'm under the FBI surveillance since I was in immigration prison in 2000. And my friend was going to help me after the police took my home. He was going to help me with the court papers to sue the police in 2014. They choked him down. The NYPD choked him down. So the mayor Ricardo just come on the radio show, WPLS 107.5 from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. to this Sunday, October 12, 2025. I'm just charging my phone. And this doesn't show the date anymore. It used to show the date before. Okay, now it shows the date. October 2025, around 11. I just finished listening to WBLS radio station. Normally I listen on my earphone. I tried to remove the earphone to play me.
Best R&B, the best R&B music, 107.5 WBLS.
Earlier I was reading. So earlier I was reading the newspaper in which the New York Law Journal. And I noticed anytime I read the New York Law Journal, they carry a lot of articles against the NYPD, And at around 2014, when I went to go to the Brooklyn Library to read the New York Law Journal, and the police would harass me in the bathroom, I would have to file a report for the library. So the police always harass me in the bathroom anytime I read the New York Law Journal, And soon I was tapping my court papers. I gave it to Eric Garner to give it to the police department, and the police went and took Eric Garner dead before I could do that in 2014. So the Brooklyn Library stops carrying the New York Law Journal, especially the branch at the headquarters, which is at Eastern Parkway. So for a long time I couldn't find the New York Law Journal to read anywhere. I also go to the New York Law Journal, Brooklyn Library in front of the Brooklyn Federal Court, Cadman Plaza. They used to carry the New York Law Journal. They don't carry it anymore. So for a long time I couldn't read the New York Law Journal anymore until I discovered the courthouses in Manhattan throw this away every Friday. So I went and get plenty. Soon I used to go get the New York Law Journal at the courthouse every Friday night, Saturday morning, early in the morning. They leave it in the garbage. I take it. So this Governor Oko said nobody should have a stroller anymore. Ban strollers. Because I know I normally carry a lot of the New York journals because it's quite voluminous. I don't really get the time to read. So what I normally do is store it in my stroller and be pushing my stroller when I travel to New Jersey, rent a hotel room. That's when I read it. Then this governor who said they should be arrested anybody that has a stroller. Only if you have a child should you have a stroller. If you don't have a child, you can't have a stroller. And the police will be harassing me and trying to lock me up. So they should arrest anybody that has a stroller. If you don't have a child, you shouldn't have a stroller. So I would tell the police, look, I also use the stroller as my walking aid. I'm like, why did this governor suddenly create a rule? She runs the MTA. And the police will be harassing me if I'm on the train. They'll pull me out of the train. So you have a stroller, you have a baby stroller. The governor said no baby stroller. We're arresting you. We're charging you for having a baby stroller. I'm like, relax. I have, legal papers. law. I have like court papers in my. That's why I put everything in my stroller because I've been rendered homeless since 2010, and there's a court order that people that are homeless should be given housing. The Legal Aid Society filed a lawsuit. That people that are rendered homeless should be given housing. The New York City Police Department and New York City government should provide us housing. Put us in a hotel room. I said, they never did that for me and my mother. And for 15 years, I've been homeless on the street. My mother has been killed by a daughter. And the police will want to arrest me. So we'll take you to the psych ward. The governor said, no, you can't have stroller. I'm like, excuse me. I have anemia. I also push the stroller as my walking aid because I have low blood count. And I get tired and dizzy. And, I'm like, the stroller is also a medical device used to carry little humans, babies, because they can't walk. I also use it. I push the stroller to. I said, no, you can't have a stroller, And so I went and parked my stroller somewhere, and some street gangs started stealing that stroller from me. Anywhere I park it, they'll break the chain lock, steal it. I used to push it into the Brooklyn Library, opposite the Brooklyn Law School, and the police officer just said, no, you can't bring the stroller here. You got to leave it outside. So I left it outside on Sunday. Somebody went and stole it, broke the chain lock. So that, and this is why police are employing street gangs to rob me of the baby stroller. So now I use a two tire cart, and I have to slant it, and I'm having anemia, so I get tired a lot while pushing my bag. But still, I try to read the newspapers as much as I can. So yesterday, I was reading the newspaper, New York Law Journal, and there was an article there in which, there was an article in the New York Journal, that it was talking about somebody sued the governor. He was homeless also, he was in his car, and he sued the governor because the police arrested him while he was sleeping in his car, and he sued the governor that he sued the governor that the infiltration is right. So I was reading that, and the court dismissed some of his complaint, saying that he couldn't sue her because the deed has already been done. They've already arrested him for sleeping in his car. But what you can do is you can sue before they carry out any action the governor tells them to do. So in my case, I should be able to sue before. I'm trying to find that exact article. I can't find that exact newspaper. I can't find it right now. So I was reading that yesterday. It was a guy in upstate New York somewhere. I can't find it anymore. But it's in one of these New York law journals. I'm going to try to find it later. I have so many editions of the New York Law Journal. So I'm going to try to find it later on. So, I'll try to. I'm scrolling through it to see if I can find it. So while I was reading, somebody came and dumped garbage bag near me on the train. So the police department is hiring people to stop me from reading the paper. It's like they want to maintain this as a slavery enclave. Whereby blacks can't read, blacks shouldn't be able to read, blacks shouldn't be able to go to school. So it seems they want to maintain this as a slavery enclave. And I know somebody came and dumped a garbage bag near me as I was reading in the train. Near my bag to make it look like I'm the one. I'm the one throwing garbage all over the floor, and I'm carrying garbage so the police can move in and arrest me. And immediately I saw that, I recorded it. And I said somebody came and dumped garbage on me on the floor while I'm on train to make it look like I'm the one carrying garbage around, like this is garbage. And so the police can come and arrest me and take all this from me. So they're framing people up under the order by this governor and this mayor that they should be locking up people in the psych ward if they're homeless. So Brooklyn Federal Court, you issued a ruling in around September, around November 2013 in Floyd versus City of New York, saying that they can't be arresting people. This police department can't just be arresting people for any little reason, especially the black minorities. So I'm trying to find the article. Oh, okay. I think I know where I can find it. I'm going to find that exact article. So since I wrote the article yesterday, they surrounded me with the police force, and this month they arrested a black American homeless, and took him away in handcuffs. And I think I know where the article is. Let me try and find it. There you go. Oh, it's windy. It's raining. Ugh. Yeah. I still can't find that article. But it's one of the New York Law Journal can be subpoenaed. Maybe they can check through the computer system. Somebody sued the governor in official capacity, saying the police arrested them upstate for being homeless and sleeping in their car. Oh, this is it. Dan versus Oko. Yeah, plaintiff who was homeless and sleeps in his van, alleged class of action against the NY governor in both official and individual capacities after a traffic stop in Greene County, New York, including the privation of rights, malicious prosecution, and false imprisonment. You can read the article. Said it sought compensation for action that have already occurred. So the court dismissed some of plaintiff's claims against Oko, that's the governor Oko, in official capacity for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Noted plaintiff primarily sought recompense for actions that have already occurred, is now dismissed action, traffic citation, and impoundment. I don't see too good. An impoundment of his van. He did not specifically allege he intends to drive again without a license or registration in the future, or that Oko or any Greene County employee would ticket him again or repound his car. Plaintiff's complaints fixated on past occurrences, distinct from ongoing violation of federal law. Even if plaintiff alleged an ongoing violation of federal law, he would still need to take a claim for prospective relief, which he did not do. So when I read this, I went to file a lawsuit that, please, the governor could stop sending this NYPD to be bothering me, telling me I can't drive a cart. I can't drive even when I use a cart like this, they always throw me out of the train station in the rain. It was rain at midnight some days ago, and in Jamaica, Queens, and the police threw me out in the rain. At midnight, they were about to arrest me, and they had their nurse, their psychiatric nurse looking at me like this. She was touching her breast area, to make fun of me that I'm a woman without a breast. So I was born a male, I'm not a woman. She was a Jamaican nurse. A Jamaican nurse was also trolling my mother in Bellevue Hospital here in Manhattan before my mother was killed. Because my mother was telling the Jamaican nurse that she's in pain, she wants her position changed, and the Jamaican nurse said, no, you're going to be in that pain for a long time, nobody's going to change your position. So my mother was from Nigeria, and some people from Caribbean don't like Nigerians. And my mother's daughter also was trolling my mother there. They wanted my mother to be killed. They were telling the hospital to lock her up because they wanted to inherit money. Because me and my mother was suing the police department for taking her home on stand, and our children were raised spoiled. My mother always raised them, you spends money on them. Even my mother had a lawsuit suing the landlord in Brooklyn for putting lead in the house, and she won the money, and she put the money in the bank account. And when she went to Nigeria, her children took the money out of the bank account, and it's like they spent it, especially that Flora. Some of that money was for that Flora also, because she was a child when she was eating lead in the Brooklyn apartment. And my mother traveled to Nigeria after winning that money in the 80s. And when my mother came back to America, the daughter has already taken the money and wouldn't give my mother money. So my mother was homeless on the street. And my mother was begging that daughter, said, please borrow her money so she can buy a house. And that Flora said no. Even that Flora had a college degree. So, but that Flora would travel to Mexico on vacation, travel abroad on vacation, travel to Disney World, while my mother was sleeping in the shelter. So as soon as the daughters, Flora and Paula, saw my mother could win money from the city of New York, because the police came and evicted us in 2010, and Regana was helping us, Regana was killed. The daughters were trying to kill my mother so they can take the money from her. So, they were born in America, my mother was born in Nigeria, my mother raised them in a spoiled, so they felt like that they deserve the money because they have American citizenship, through birth, and she's just a foreigner, so my mother said, Flora's husband would try to punch my mother as a black American. He was for the U.S. military. He would try to beat my mother. So, my mother went to live with them because my mother was being tired of being followed by the police. She called the police terrorists in America when the police took her home in 2010. So Trump's friend, Bernard Kerik, was the head of Homeland Security. He's a former police commissioner. So he heard about it, I believe, because Trump's friend, Bernard Kerik, made a statement right away that some people are losers, and he said the law enforcement in America has to deal with losers that live in basement apartment with their loser son. So I believe that statement was referring to me and my mother, because at that time, me and my mother had just been evicted from a basement apartment by the NYPD without a court order. They were using they used the emergency vacate order that Bloomberg ordered them that they should be removing people from basement apartment. Bloomberg was just trying to get rid of the poor blacks. It was gentrifying the neighborhood. They would stop and frisk people on the street, and the Brooklyn Federal Court intervened, say that they should stop arresting people, breaking into people's homes and removing them in the case called Floyd versus City of New York. About 3 years later, they issued that order. By then, me and my mother had been actually evicted from our home by Bloomberg. So my mother contacted Bloomberg right away to help us. He promised to help us. He never helped us. So Eric Garner said he was going to help us. And soon afterwards, the police found and took Eric Garner dead. And Trump's friend, Bernard Kerik, I believe he should have ordered. Because he made a statement around that time period that, that some people are losers that live in basement apartments. After my mother called the police in America terrorists. It's just some police in America are saying a lot of the activism work is making that job difficult, that anytime they kill a black person, all these activists will be marching. So the police wanted to have a strong arm activist, and bully. Especially my mother was a foreigner and she was acting like an activist. People like Martin Luther King have been killed by the FBI. Martin Luther King's family alleged that when Martin Luther King was killed, they found out information the FBI hired the assassin, but they couldn't sue early. They had to sue late because time had gone by. So they used part of the plan to kill Martin Luther King by the FBI was actually in North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere. So they went to that particular state. I don't remember which of the Carolinas. So they went to that particular Carolina state and sued, but they can only win $100 because that state allows you to sue late, but you can only win $100. So that was all they could get from FBI killing Martin Luther King. So this is serious. I hope this judge, D'Agostino, what's her name again? Yeah, in Dan versus Oko, the receipt number is 25 CV 00122. So CV-25 -001-22. No, I'm sorry. I believe that this is how you read it. 25-CV-00122. So I hope this the district judge could make the case a class action lawsuit. Because this Governor Oko is ordering the police to attack more people. So I'm going to contact this judge. I hope she has an email to say, look, I was reading about your ruling just yesterday, and somebody came and threw trash on the floor. I was on the 2 train around Brooklyn. Somebody threw trash on the floor, And I quickly got up and I saw the trash, and I started to tell people on the train, in case the police comes and arrest me, I'm being set up. They're trying to make it look like I'm just a crazy Nigerian that comes to America to throw trash, so the police can take all my newspaper and throw it away and lock me up forever. So this governor, this judge needs to make it a class action lawsuit. This governor is going against homeless people, and it's really me. They're really trying to suppress, because my mother accused the police in America of New York City of being terrorists targeting Black lives, and since then she's been killed. She was like, people try to beat my mother up, people try to beat Ariana for helping me. Even her daughters, my mother said one of her daughters was moving the bad gang, who was selling drugs, who were using drugs, Bolanle. So she said that daughter Bolanle would feed her current fish food in her food, and my mother would start having bloody diarrhea. My mother would start having bloody diarrhea, and her feet would start raising up swelling eye. So my mother fled Pennsylvania because she couldn't stay with her daughter Flora anymore. Because one of her daughters, that Flora, has a husband who was a Black American in the U.S. military. I would try to punch my mother to get her out of here. And my mother, so my mother was saying they were aware that she had a heart problem, and they were just trying to make her sad, so she would die, go into depression, or die of a heart attack, so they can inherit the money. So the Black American male is the U.S. soldier, is buffy, bigger than my mother, and so would try to punch my mother. So I don't want you in this house anymore. Get out of here. And my mother would call the police that she's staying with her daughter and her daughter's husband. That Flora actually bought the house, I believe, because my mother won a lawsuit for lead poison, and that Flora took out the money when my mother was in Nigeria. And when my mother came back here, she was homeless on the street, and she was telling that Flora to please borrow her money. My mother was working as a homemaker day so that she can buy a house. She wants to repair her credit, and that Flora said no. And my mother said that Flora was nicer to other people. She has a lot of Black American friends she gives money to. She just doesn't have a high respect for my mother, because my mother doesn't speak American English, and she thinks she's just beneath her or something. So my mother said that Flora always calls her a liar and stuff. Yeah, because there was a time my mother took them to Nigeria, because I was in Nigeria in the 1988 with my father. So my mother brought them to Nigeria in 1988, because she wanted to bring me here. And she bought a plane ticket here, from Nigerian government, Nigerian Airways. So please, Nigerian government, you're also involved in this, what I'm going through, and you have to intervene. They're about to kill me, this governor. She's on steroids with the police department, and they're forming a KKK type, abuse on Black lives. So, this is why I believe Flora doesn't like my mother, because in 1988, my mother was living here with that Flora and Bolanle. They were born here in America. So my mother returned back to Nigeria to come and get me, because my mother told my father to bring me to America in 1988, and my father said no. So my mother, went to Nigeria to come and get me, because she wanted to put me in a school in Long Island, because I just won lawsuit money from the lead poisoning, and she thought I looked like Michael Jackson, and she wanted, because since I was born, she thought I would look like Michael Jackson. I don't really think so. And so she said she wanted, as soon as she won the lawsuit money in 1988, she put the money in Hamilton Savings Bank. So she went to Nigeria to come and get me, because she told my father to bring me here so that she can put me in a school in Long Island, and she wanted me to study music and movie acting, and she believed I could become an actor. I'm not a woman, and she believes that Hollywood would like me. But my father said no. So she bought a return plane ticket, Nigerian Airways. So she brought those daughters, and she was like, our daughters didn't want to follow her to Nigeria. They said, they don't want to go to Nigeria, because Africa had a bad image, so they were scared of going to Nigeria. So she showed them the plane ticket, that it's a return plane ticket, and they're going to come back. They're just going to Nigeria to get me. Even one of our daughters didn't want to come to Nigeria at all. So she asked the daughter to go stay with her brother in Canada, but our brother in Canada told my mother that he found a school for the daughter, that's Bolanle, and she has to be paying $10,000 a semester. Like, it was a private school, like $10,000. So my mother was like, I think our brother told her Canada doesn't have free public school, only America has free public school. So my mother was trying to get her brother to even adopt our daughter, just to stay there temporarily in Canada, because our daughter didn't want to go to Nigeria, Bolanle. So and her brother said no, he doesn't want to adopt her. The only way she can stay in Canada is if my mother gives him 10,000 US dollars to enroll her in a school there, in a private school. So my mother was like, no, that's just waste of money. So the daughter came back to New York from Canada. So she brought the daughter to Nigeria. And when they got to Nigeria to pick me up, and the Nigerian Airways told my mother that she can no longer come back to America with that plane ticket. That ticket has been invalidated by the Nigerian government. That ticket, because they were supposed to use the ticket labeled New York City, Lagos, Nigeria, but instead they used the ticket here in New York in JFK. They used the ticket that was Lagos, Nigeria to New York ticket. So they used the fro ticket instead of the toe fare. The ticket was used out of sequence. So my mother bought a return trip, and the Nigerian government said anytime there's any form of mistake on the part of the government official, it is you, the customer, that will suffer. So they told my mother she couldn't use that ticket because it was already, used out of sequence. So my mother got stuck, and she contacted a bank, Hamilton Savings Bank, to release money for her, and the bank told her she has to come back to America to withdraw the money. So my mother was stuck in Nigeria. She couldn't come back with me. So our daughter had to go to school in Nigeria for like a year, and my mother eventually contacted the American embassy and to borrow our daughter's money, because our daughter had an American passport, so they were the only ones the U.S. government would borrow money. So my mother made an arrangement for the daughters to stay in Pennsylvania temporarily. She's able to get enough money for me and her to join. Because the bank in America wouldn't release money to her. They said she has to come back to America to withdraw the money. They don't do overseas transactions. And the Nigerian government wouldn't correct the problem either, so they left us stuck in Nigeria. So our daughters were here, staying with a white family, and they beat up the white family after they got back here, because they said some of the kids in Pennsylvania were making fun of them because the 1 year they spent in Nigeria made them develop a Nigerian accent. And the kids were making fun of them in school, and they beat up the white family they were staying with, so they ended up in foster care. And my mother couldn't come here. Me and my mother couldn't come here until 10 years later. And when I came here to America with my mother, they arrested me at JFK, said they don't allow children in America. My mother had a green card, and they arrested me. So it's been a whole lot. So it put me under immigration surveillance. My mother bailed me out of immigration prison. And we were staying in the basement apartment, and the police came and removed us, kicked us out of the basement apartment, and I was under immigration surveillance then. So my mother went to BB11 News and said the police in America are terrorists terrorizing black lives. So Trump's friend Bernard Kerik heard about it. He was the Homeland Security chief, and they said it was corrupt as fuck. So then he made a statement to the press saying some people are losers that live in basement apartment with their child, with their son. He used that word son specifically. He used that son specific. The word son was specifically. I was born a male. I was a boy then. I'm now a girl. And since then, my mother was getting followed, jumped everywhere. People try to beat her up everywhere she goes. Me also. People will punch me. When I go to the library, the police will show up at the bathroom, especially when I'm reading newspaper like this. Then I filed a case in Brooklyn Federal Court, 13 CV 5052, alleging the police kicked me and my mother out wrongfully, and I want to go back to my home with my mother. And Eric Garner said it was going to help me. The police when I took Eric Garner dead. And they were just abusing me and my mother, and it's like they were telling street gangs also to be jumping me and my mother. Even Eric Garner, it was helping us. They said it was getting jumped. And Eric Garner is a buffy black American male. He's been in prison before. But some people were jumping him also until the police came and killed him. So they were using all kinds of criminals to harass me and my mother. Now my mother is there. She even said our own children were participating, feeding my mother like poison. And this morning, so yesterday is October 11, 2025. So while I was reading the newspaper on the 2 train, somebody came and dropped garbage around me on the floor, and I was charging my phone, and My phone charger came off the hook. I don't really mess up the phone like this, but it's just an emergency. You know, so somebody came and dropped garbage around me on the floor on the train. So I was standing before the train. I was recording everything. That somebody dropped garbage around me. I'm being set up for a police to arrest me on the 2 train so that they can come take all my newspaper away. And denying someone access to court is a crime. It's a court of obstruction of justice. So this governor was trying to help the police department by making sure, I don't get to go to court against the police department. The security guard was helping me. All the lawyers in America wouldn't help me, especially the white lawyers. And so, so as soon as I came on the 2 train yesterday at 34th Street Penn Station. As soon as I got off the train, yesterday's October 11, 2025, around 7 p.m., some NYPD guys were surrounding me. Anywhere I go, as soon as I got off the train, they were following me around, surrounding me. I'm like, okay, what is going on? What kind of intimidation is this? So I came here to get some food, and I sat there I sat over here since like 9 p.m. yesterday. Then I noticed early this morning around 1 a.m. the police surrounded me while I was sitting in front of this Macy's on a chair. There's a police camera here by 34th and Broadway that will record everything. I don't want to leave my belongings. And the police camera was recording, that the police would park their car behind my back while I was sleeping. They came with their gun, with their psychiatric nurse, and they were all laughing, ha ha ha. I thought they were about to arrest me, frame up as crazy. So they should arrest anybody homeless sleeping. Even though there's a court order from the Brooklyn Supreme Court since the 1990s that anybody vacated from their home and put out on the street like me, should be given assistance by the city of New York and the state government. They should put me in a hotel room and get me emergency housing, and I should be designated a special victim status. In case I have any criminal complaint, the police should help me because now I'm a special victim. And they don't help me. They try to lock me up in the psychiatric ward instead. And this morning they surrounded me like 1 a.m. The police camera was recording. They parked their car behind me and they surrounded me with a psychiatric nurse. And I stuttered awake. I was hearing people laughing. And I stuttered awake, like, what's going on? I saw the police around me, parked their car behind me with a psychiatric nurse. So I kept quiet. I was recording them. Then afterwards, this guy came and he was wearing a jacket said Dick. And I noticed it was exposing his penis around me as I still sat there. I felt like it was exposing his penis because I was hearing like something come out of him, like water. Grrr, grrr. I was like, okay, what is this? And and he slept on top of his own urine next to me on the floor. Then an MTA worker came. I was looking at him, like, came around me. Early in the morning, I started recording. I'm like, what is going on? And he's trying to frame me up as crazy nuisance with the other guy, just crazy lunatics, just, peeing all over the place and creating a scene. So I recorded everything and I went back to sit down on the chair and I sat down on the chair. Then I went to use the bathroom at Penn Station. Then this morning, I normally buy food from that cart, that yellow cart, early in the morning. And when I was coming back, I noticed they were arresting a Black American male, a homeless male. And I'm like, look, I think I've seen this Black American male before. I've talked with him so many times. It doesn't seem crazy to me. I said, and I was inquiring what is going on. I think one of the police said we're taking him to the Bellevue Hospital for mental evaluation. I'm like, this guy's not crazy. Why would you be arresting Black Americans and blacks, blocking them up? That's what they did to my mother. She was in Bellevue Hospital treating a heart disease, and her own daughters came from Pennsylvania to lock her up in a psych ward, and they locked my mother up and killed her that way. And even and previously, some weeks ago, as soon as Trump became president this year, 2025, I went downstairs to use the bathroom, and I noticed that they always taunt me when I try to use the bathroom. Anytime I try to use the bathroom downstairs, either the MTA worker would do like this to me, stand beside his bathroom, about to kick me in my face with a leg. Then the next time I went into the bathroom, the police surrounded me in the bathroom, said, get out now, you're a male, you're not a woman. I said, look, I'm a woman. He said, I'm a transsexual woman. I said, get out now, get out. And Trump also created that confusion. As soon as he became president, he said he doesn't want gays in public bathrooms. But that is order, issued on executive orders. That only applies to federal building. The MTA is controlled by the state government. So I think, this Governor Oku and the NYPD want to kill me so Trump can be happy, to help Trump cover up for his friend. His friend eventually died later this year after they had been trying to kill me in the train station. And, It's just, I think Trump's friend Bernard Kerry died a couple of days ago, of a heart attack eventually behind. But still, they want to kill me, so that, nobody would know why Trump is mass deporting immigrants, because his friend issued an order, most likely because he was threatening me and my mother that saying some people are losers, and the law enforcement have to deal with losers like that stay in basement apartment, that stays in a basement apartment, I told the press after my mother called the police in America terrorist, and since that my mother's been killed, my friend Ghana helping me, and my mother's been killed, and now the police department has been harassing me, and something strange was, so I'm under FBI surveillance, since I went to immigration prison in 2000, I eventually got my green card, but still they put me on surveillance. So I was listening to the Mayor Eric Adams this morning at 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. and he was saying some of you are going to miss him while he's gone. That was his last statement. So immediately I remembered. So they said this Eric Adams also has some FBI that snitch on him whenever somebody's on surveillance. His former beauty commissioner Aldrich said this Eric Adams, so he has some people that snitch to him whenever somebody's on FBI surveillance to let them know where the person is at, what is going on, So I guess the FBI surveillance was to pick me up, and they watched me with a satellite camera. They said they militarized the police force in America, the FBI, so they use satellite camera. Like Barack Obama said that even while the U.S. government was lying after 9/11 and they couldn't find Osama bin Laden, they said they could find him immediately with a satellite camera, and they saw it was in a Pakistan jungle near the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan somewhere, hiding in an uncompleted building, and they were watching him for many, many years with the satellite camera. You didn't know. They said he put window blind on the wall, didn't know the satellite camera America has in satellite is able to see through any wall, through any ground surface into a subway. So they were monitoring for many years, seeing him, his wife, when they come and visit him and things like that, would come and visit him allegedly, and they sent a sniper to go kill him. They didn't want to arrest him, they just wanted to kill him, and they invaded, kicked the door open with a sniper, sent a sniper with an helicopter, parachute jump into the building and kick the door open and window open and shoot him dead. So they didn't even want to arrest him, they just want to say America kills certain people, they didn't just arrest them, which is a violation of international law. You're not supposed to just kill a civilian. So I think that's what they want to do to me. This Governor Oko, her son works for the FBI, so she has allegiance with the FBI, with the Homeland Security, and she wants to use her office as governor to kill me as an outsider. After Uganda was killed, I'm maintaining it as a white supremacy country where these black outsiders, they said she's always been racist and xenophobic. There was a time they said New York State passed a law saying they should be given undocumented immigrant driver's licenses, and she was the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle commissioner, and she told our workers to disregard the law and not give undocumented immigrant driver's license. So she's always been a Republican type person, but now she claims she's a Democrat moderate. And also she's been using her police and soldiers to trouble me. Around 2023, there was a snowstorm under the Biden administration, and they issued an order, I think the FEMA, telling New York to prepare for a snowstorm and get emergency evacuation ready. They said it was going to be bad in Buffalo. So at that time, this governor put soldiers and police on the subway. And she was like, if you don't like the increased police and soldier presence, you gotta walk. Says the subway is not for you. But people at Rosa Parks march to allow blacks like me access to the subway, because before blacks were not allowed to ride the bus or train, you had to sit in the back. And even when Trump became president, I used to ride the train to New Jersey. You had to go to a hotel room. And one day, a black American worker slapped me in my face, said, "Go to the back, you sit in the front. The front is reserved for white." And I was trying to get a lawyer, no lawyer would help me. So they've been harassing me in the subway, because what I normally do is I go pick up a lot of law journals, and I've been reading it on the train, on the subway where it's warm, because I don't have a home anymore. So they've been watching, I've been filing lawsuit, and I've been reading from based on information I get from the New York Law Journal. I do my legal research. So that's why they should put the police and army on the train. And the bottom, every time I try to use the bathroom, they'll tell me, no, Governor Oku said no more strollers. Because it's very easy for me to use a stroller because I carry a lot of law journals like this. And I put it on in my stroller and push it. When I'm on the train, I will chain lock my stroller to the seat near me and put the stroller on brake so the stroller is secure. Because sometimes, when I'm distracted, they'll steal my stroller and stuff, take it away from me. So I'll use the chain lock to the seat near me. And I'll be reading all night long, reading, typing court papers. Sometimes when the computer I use to type the court papers against the police, sometimes will send thieves to punch me in my face and steal the computer and run away. And I'll tell the Brooklyn Federal Court 13 CE 5052 that look, I'm in court against the NYPD, and people are punching me in my face. I'm homeless on the street as I'm typing. I'm using the computer, the laptop I'm using to type court papers against the police. People will punch in my face and steal that laptop from me. I said they're using some surveillance on me. And the Brooklyn Federal Court will give me a station of time to submit any motion I have. And the NYPD was sabotaging me, and this Uganda said it was going to help me to make my life easier. They want to choke him dead. And at that time I was up there in the Brooklyn Federal Court. I filed a court case against the NYPD in 2013. And by 2014, Uganda met Uganda said it was going to help me. They took Uganda dead. So this governor was trying to cover Uganda's murder, And then she saw that I'm still reading this New York Law Journal that I normally use to sue the police and get all the latest information. Because in America, if you file a lawsuit against the police, they have other police stations watching me, like I'm in the military zone. In America, if you file a lawsuit against the police and you don't have facts to be dismissed, like this judge, I think, was about to dismiss the case. Because you got to be accurate. I'm not saying that the judge is biased, but the judge has to be fair, and your complaint has to be plausible. That's federal law. So I think this person may be pro se Dan versus Oko. He may be, I don't know if it's black also. He may be a pro se person in Greene County, and if you don't research the law very well, your case, even the U.S. Supreme Court says you have to make a strong claim to survive in federal court. So I always try to do my research, and they're bothering me, don't let me do my research, which is the law in America says there's a constitutional right to education, and they can't be barring me from trying to read on the train or whatever, so this is what they're doing. So she put her soldiers and her police force on the train, because they've noticed that in the winter, I'll be on the train reading, writing books, even Mandela, when he was in prison in South Africa, he was always writing books in the prison. So I guess the white racists here saw, this is the loophole. This is why this Mandela was able to defeat white rule in South Africa, because in prison they still allowed him to read books. So with me here in America, don't let me read nothing. So this Governor Oku, has always been a xenophobe, racist type person that deny immigrants driver's license, even though the New York legislature approved driver's license for immigrants. Undocumented immigrants, she was denying undocumented immigrant driver's license, telling she was the commissioner of the DMV then, Department of Motor Vehicles. So and now our action has gotten so many people killed. So I think in 2023 or thereabout, there was a snowstorm. Biden was the mayor, Biden was the president, and FEMA told New York to prepare for a snowstorm, But at that time, this governor could put the national troop soldiers, the National Guard, the state governors in America control National Guard. So she put the National Guard soldiers and NYPD and police all over the train stations in New York City, even though there was no terror threat. And I normally go to the World Trade Center to use the bathroom, and the National Guard soldiers that she controls, that's the only branch of the U.S. military controlled by the state governor, they'll come into the bathroom with me, and they hire some miscreant to be bothering in the bathroom, and they create an intimidating presence. I have diarrhea, so I won't be able to use the bathroom. It's just a form of waterboarding. Waterboarding is a U.S. military type of torture. They said if you restrict someone's pipes, whether their lungs or their anus, you could cause them to die. And people that have been denied access to the bathroom, like people that have colon blockage, they said You could get a heart attack. They said Elvis Presley died of constipation, had a heart attack. There's a lady also that died of colon rupture. She couldn't go to the bathroom early, and her colon ruptured. There was a guy in China that died recently also of bladder rupture. He couldn't pee on time. So as I'm homeless, carrying a lot of my belongings around, I sometimes feel the need to pee and use the bathroom. Diarrhea, I have diarrhea also. And so this governor was stationing the National Guard in the bathroom at the World Trade Center. So anytime I try to use the bathroom, they'll come in there and create an intimidating presence, and they have people that bother me also. So and even though there was no terror left for New York City in 2023, she pulled all the National Guard away from all locations in New York and put them at the World Trade Center to be bothering me in the bathroom. And so while the snowfall was heavy in Buffalo in 2023, it was predicted by FEMA. You know, they said people were getting stuck driving their cars. There was a black American nurse from Texas, and she went to work. She came to New York from Texas because New York needed nurses, and she responded to the call around that time. Since 2020, she said she's been in New York because her family said she was watching TV and saw people dying in New York because of lack of nurses, and decided to come. She was a brave lady. She was only like 23 years old. She came to New York to help save lives, and this governor ended up killing her. Because she was in Buffalo, she remained in Buffalo until 2023 when there was a snowstorm. You know, blanketing Buffalo. They said it was going to be heavier in Buffalo. And this governor and the FEMA told this governor to prepare. But this governor had forgot the National Guard soldiers she put at the World Trade Center to bother me. Even though there was no terror alert in the World Trade Center necessitating the National Guard troops to be there. You know, they had the New York Port Authority police, they had extra security guard at the World Trade Center, and then they had bathrooms. But the National should put all the National Guards there at the World Trade Center. They would come to the bathroom with me, menace me, scare me. Before I go into the bathroom, they quickly go before I head up with their weapons and block the door. And it was just such a scary presence. I'm a civilian. I didn't know what was going on, and they were terrorizing me, treating me like I'm a terrorist. You know, and I guess they were making fun of my dead mother because my mother called the police in America terrorists, and they were trying to show me, we'll show you what a real terrorist is. You know, so this governor, you know, as an abuse of the co-ops, because they know my mother is not dead and she can't wake up. If she was alive, she would have screamed out loud. So to torture her, this governor was acting like she's a witch, torturing my dead mother, even though my mother is also a naturalized US citizen. And they want to make her like less, that you're not really American. We are the real Americans, and we will show you what a terrorist is. You know? So she'll bring out the soldiers, National Guard soldiers. When I'm trying to use the bathroom, they'll run ahead of me, block the door to the bathroom, and I'll be so scared because I don't know if they're going to choke me there in the bathroom. I don't have anywhere else to go. So they were playing all that games with me, and they needed those soldiers in Buffalo in 2023 because there was a snowstorm, and this black American nurse, you know, was at work, and the snowstorm was getting bad. She was watching TV, I'm sure, and she decided to leave work early, and she was driving, and the snow just enveloped her, you know, so she couldn't move anymore. So she called 911 to bring rescue, and they now wanted her to wait. They're going to bring people there to rescue her. And then she was exchanging chats with her family, telling them like, and she thought she was going to survive. She was just joking with her family that, look, I'm stuck, and her family responded by, oh, you're good for you, you're stuck, you know, something like that. Thought she was going to survive. And she told them that she's just tired, she's feeling sleepy, because she said she's been waiting for them to send rescue, and nobody is sending rescue, so she wants to go to sleep. She says she's trapped in the snowstorm, she's in her car. So I'm sure the snow had blanketed her exhaust pipe, and she was dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. Because when you're blanketed by snow and no rescue comes, she had called 911, but they said they couldn't find any National Guard to come help her with helicopter rescue. The local police force in Buffalo doesn't know how to do helicopter rescue. Only the U.S. military teaches for helicopter rescue. You know, and Governor had left the National Guard at the World Trade Center to bother me in the toilet. You know, and they were all waiting for me in the toilet to bother me. And this woman died, this black American nurse died, blanketed by snow in her car, and she was just, I guess she was inhaling the carbon monoxide. You know, and when she died, our family in Texas, were like, they're destroyed. They were like, they don't want to know what happens to their daughter. How come they couldn't find National Guard to rescue their daughter? The whole New York State doesn't have National Guard anymore. And this Governor Cuomo kept quiet. You know, and the black American family, they played them for a fool. And now I'm a witness against her. So now she issued an order that the police should be mass arresting a lot of these black Americans, so that when they eventually arrest me and kill me, the police choke me dead. It should be like, we weren't just targeting Nigerians, we're targeting everybody. And so what, they said people that want to kill somebody, they always try to disguise it as, unintended. So they're using a lot of these black Americans as collateral damage. It's me that really want to harm. And they were arresting a black American male this morning. And I know that male is not crazy. I speak with him many times. Another African that's homeless on the street, as soon as I started talking to me, he told me one day he fell asleep and he woke up, they took his green card and passport. So anybody that talks to me, they're targeting the person. And I really want to kill everybody around me because I'm a foreigner, everybody I know, so that when they eventually kill me, they can discredit anybody that tries to speak out for that. If anybody tries to say, oh, they know me, I'm not crazy, they would have already diagnosed the person with mental illness, like that black American they picked up today, or they would have already killed the person like Eric Garner, so there'll be nobody to speak out for me, and they can just choke me there. So Nigerian embassy have an agreement with the U.S. government to investigate crimes involving Nigerians and Americans, and you can arrest many Nigerians that dupe white Americans on the internet. You bring them to America and get them arrested. So please, Nigerian government, you have to help me. You are partly the cause of this. My mother bought a Nigerian Airways ticket in 1988 to come get me and bring me here to America. I was in Nigeria with my father, and when she arrived in Nigeria, she was trying to get on the plane, and you told her she can no longer use that ticket. It was issued out of sequence. They used the wrong ticket for her, and you wouldn't correct her, refund her money, and she got stuck in Nigeria. And now when she eventually brought me in 2000, my mother left me, and came back to America by herself, and she came to get me in 2000 because my father was abusing me, and she tried to report to the Nigerian police, but the Nigerian police told her, they can't really intervene in child abuse cases because the Nigerian custom allow child abuse cases, and they told her, the Nigerian police said she should bring me to America, and that the Nigerian government will support me to stay in America, to keep me safe, and if there's any problem, the Nigerian government will step in to make sure I remain here in America. So Nigeria is still not safe for me, even though I'm now older. I'm a transsexual, and Nigerian custom doesn't allow transsexuals or gays. They stone us to death in Nigeria. So Nigerian government, you told me, the police, and I brought all the papers, gave it to the U.S. immigration when I was arrested in 2000 at the JFK airport, when they told me America doesn't allow kids with their parents either. And they told my mother she can stay with her green card, but I have to go back. And I told them, look, the Nigerian police wouldn't help me. They told me and mother to come here to wait. That Nigerian doesn't help kids either. So I've just been sandwiched from across territories. And nobody will give me a chance. And it's just getting worse and worse. The court has to step in and say children have rights and gays have rights, and protect me and go after these killers, this Governor Oku. Our secret is not safe. So please, the judge in this case, I think she feels threatened by this case that Dan filed. It's a good thing. So Judge Agostino, please, you have to make the case Dan filed a class action lawsuit to, because you said the only time the court can intervene against the governor is if there's a pattern, and there's a need for prospective relief from such patterns. So there's a pattern whereby they're targeting the poor homeless people, and it's me they're really trying to harm, but they're targeting all homeless people all throughout New York State, using them as collateral damage. So please, this judge, Honorable District Judge Nate D'Agostino, please make this a class action lawsuit. Please have a attorney take over the case, because pro se people can't file class action lawsuit under the U.S. Supreme Court rulings, I believe. So please make it a class action lawsuit, and this Governor Oku should appear in court, and she should be referred for criminal prosecution. So there's a reason why she's scared. and she's been trying to get our police to kill me under the guise of homeless belonging psych ward, and she's very dangerous. She's unhinged, and she's gotten many people killed. They said 40 people perished in Buffalo because there was no helicopter, there was no National Guard to rescue people. So she needs to be arrested, taken away in handcuffs. Even I've been contacting Lelita James also. That while I'm homeless on the street, people people are trying to sex traffic me. In 2020, there was a COVID, and the MTA locked up all the bathrooms, so I couldn't find a bathroom to use. And I was going from train station to train station. When I get to a train station, the MTA worker would go and lock the door. I'll carry all my bags, go to the next train station, and I was going up, down, downtown, uptown, downtown. I was trying to use the bathroom, I had diarrhea, and I finally got to the Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. And as soon as I tried to enter the precinct at the 161 Ford train station, the police told me, no, stay out. I said, I'm trying to use the bathroom, please. They don't let me use the bathroom. I said, no, you can't come in here either. I said, look, I read in the newspaper that all prisons are going to be open. I was going to attend to people. I said, a lot of prisons are shutting down. I said, no, you can't use the bathroom here either. I said, I have to use the bathroom. I said, no, stay out, And the guy, I was being set up. And the guy came and told me I could come to his house to use the bathroom. I was like, thank you, sir. And he lived upstairs in the Bronx somewhere. And, and I had to carry my bag upstairs. And when we got there, he told me he has to have sex with me and marry me. I thought you were just going to let me use the bathroom. He said, no. And he held me hostage, was raping me, said he wants to get married. I told him, no, he will beat me up. And he told me if I dare flee, he's connected with the NYPD. I said, he can get the NYPD to shoot me dead. So I was stuck there, was beating me up for many days, raping me. And I finally called the 911. And the police came and threw me out of the house. I said, would you please arrest him? And they took a picture of my face with blood. I said, no. I said, you can't just throw me out like that. I'm scared, because he said he has people that will come and kill me. I said, can you arrest him instead and let me stay in the house? Because Governor Cuomo issued an order that at that time there was a shelter in place in 2020 that if anybody's indoors somewhere, you can't evict them because the housing court is closed, everybody's closed, the court system is closed, so nobody can evict anybody. Anywhere you are, the police should intervene and let you stay in there. I said that's a shelter place. They said, then the police told me no, they're not going to go by what Governor Cuomo said. At that time, Oko was the assistant governor. So people always try to photo burn us. I'm recording me also. I don't know what I said. Some people do that. I don't know if everybody, so back to what I was saying. So after the guy raped me, beat me up, had me hostage in his home, told me if I leave, he's going to, he's going to get his police contact to kill me on the street, So I finally called 911, and the police came in there and told me to get out of here. I told him I'm afraid to leave, because he said he's going to kill me if I leave. And they told me to get out of here. I said no, and I said Governor Cuomo said, you can't evict somebody anywhere they are. There's a shelter-in-place law. They should allow to remain there. And anybody that's threatening that person should be the one arrested and put in prison. They told me, no, we're not going to comply with Governor Cuomo, so get out of there. And soon that Cuomo was kicked out of office and Oko replaced him. So this is what is going on. And so, this Governor Oko, and she's been threatening that anybody that doesn't like our policy of using the police and the army to harass people on the train, they need to get out of town. She was like saying, get out of town, and I believe she's telling me, go back to Nigeria, we're going to terrorize you. You don't want your time. They said she's always been blocking immigrants. From the time she was the head of the Department of Motor Vehicle, and the New York legislature passed a law that undocumented immigrants can get driver's licenses. Someone almost hit me with a bicycle, So look, my life is in danger. This is the Oko, and she said that. So if anybody don't like our policy, get out of town. She said it. And I'm critical of our policy, and I believe by get out of town means get out of the country. We're going to terrorize you like the KKK. So please, she's unhinged. This is berserk. No lawyer in America would help me. My mother killed. Every God helping me killed. A black American male I know arrested. Please, Judge May D'Agostino, please certify this lawsuit. I believe this Dan must be pro se litigant, because you say it wasn't alleged, it's claimed properly, so I suspect it's a pro se litigant. Please declare this a class action lawsuit. This case happened in Fort Greene. I'm sorry, Greene County, New York. I'm here in Manhattan, New York. We're all suffering under this Governor Oko. I don't know this damn guy. He's a homeless guy, and he's sued this Governor Oko. I didn't conspire with him. I was just reading the paper, yesterday, and they found me with the police force. And they don't normally let me read. They took the papers away from the library. Brooklyn Library don't carry New York Law Journal anymore. And when I go there to read other papers like Daily News, the police will tell me, get out of here, you have a mask, you're scaring us, we don't want masks. I'm like, excuse me? I said, because of COVID, and they would arrest me to let me read the newspaper. And they hire street gangs also. As I'm reading the paper, some people will come say, you stink, get out of this library. And I'll tell the police, can you please arrest this? I say, no, you get out. People don't like you. They won't let me read the paper in Brooklyn Library. So this Governor Oko, she's working with the police to get rid of people like me, foreigners. I should say, if anyone doesn't like a policy, they need to get out of town. And she's been mainly saying, get out of America, you foreigner, And so they're revenging against my dead mother, who called the police in America, who called law enforcement in America terrorists, terrorizing black lives. And she was a naturalized U.S. citizen, and they want to make her feel like she's not a real American. She's not a real American. Governor Oko is the real American because she's white, and they want to show her what a real terrorist does. That she hasn't seen nothing yet. And I believe the NYPD are in synchronization with her, because this year something weird happened. There's no end to the weirdness going on. So this year, they said there was a Puerto Rican male in Queens, and the NYPD guy tried to pull him over and he shoot the NYPD guy. This Puerto Rican male driving shoot the NYPD guy. So this NYPD guy is based in Long Island. He lives in Long Island, but he works with the NYPD here in New York City. So they said that the funeral took place in Long Island for the NYPD guy, and his wife was saying something like she wants revenge or something like that. That the killing can't continue. That that the civilians are terrorizing the police. And I said this Governor Oko went to the funeral for that white police officer, and as she was speaking, all the white police officers turned their back on her, and they pumped their back up, their booty up. Like they were making fun of me. I'm gay. I was born in male. I'm a woman now, and they don't let me use the bathroom. And to remind her, I think they was sending a message to her that immigrants will be terrorized in the bathroom. Give us more power to kill that immigrant. And as the Governor was talking, the police officer was facing her, and all of a sudden, they turned their booty, and they pumped their booty up, and she kept talking, and she wouldn't shut up, and they started shouting, leave, go away, we don't want you here. And she could have arrested them for insubordination, and so as she was addressing them, they turned their back to her like this and pumped their booty up, and she kept talking, and they started screaming, go away, with their booty facing her. I said, go away, and it was talking with their booty facing her, but they were talking to her, and then she left. And they were shouting, give us power, and she could have arrested her for subordination, and I said, go away and give us power, and they dismissed her from a funeral procession wrongfully. They were unruly, and since then, and she was witness to that crime of the police action unruly. A police must always maintain composure, and this is what they do to us civilians. Kicked us out of everywhere, we black civilians, kicked us out of the train station, act unruly towards us, and we don't have any witness, we don't have the power to arrest her. They said she was with New York State Police. I think that's what they call them, the New York State Police, and they have the power to arrest the NYPD. She's a governor, she's a lawyer. Our own son is with the law enforcement, also works for the FBI. She's a police officer, is a lawyer for the FBI, is part of the law enforcement, and she could have arrested those police officers for insubordination. And said, if you're treating a governor like this, how are you going to treat a civilian in the toilet? And they always surround me in the toilet, tell me to leave, while I'm still using the toilet, and which is a form of rape. Rape is, now New York has upgraded rape to be forceful intrusion to somebody's anus without the acquiescence. So when I'm using the bathroom and you come with a gun, tell me leave right now, won't let me use the bathroom. So you're forcefully controlling my anus. You know, through intimidation. It's just like you punching a gun at somebody and telling the person, take your clothes off. You know, and then you go to court and say, look, I didn't take their clothes off, they took their clothes off by themselves. You know, and gave me the, and you know, and so it's not rape. No, the court will be like, you coerced them. You know, you coerce them. So they say some people are into scat play, like all these R. Kelly, they put them in prison for rape or things like that, or accessory. For some people are into scat play, they want to forcefully make you defecate in your pants, and forcefully control your anal muscle. So when they scare me, when I'm about to use the bathroom and they tell me leave wrongfully, even though I have privacy rights in the bathroom, that's them controlling my anus without my acquiescence and trying to get me to mess up my pants. So which is a rape. They said some police officer also took a broomstick to an Asian immigrant called Abdul Wima while he was using the bathroom in jail in Brooklyn somewhere, and started damaging it with a broomstick. So any forceful control of your anus without your consent, whether through coercion, whether by screaming at you, forcing your booty to close when you're trying to use the bathroom against your will, that's a rape. So this guy is to be arrested as accessory to rape and terrorizing the homeless population and the mass arrest of black Americans and Africans. And she's telling, and her response when she was criticized by people like me was that if you don't like our policy of using the police to scare and attack and arrest people in New York subway, she said get out of town. And they said that to black Americans to go back to Africa, and that's our own way, our modern way of saying go back to Africa. So my mother used to live in the Bronx also, and my mother was trying to learn how to use the computer before she died. And this governor was making fun of my dead mother, said people in the Bronx are so dumb they don't know what a computer is. And she put out all these messages, said we need to educate people in the Bronx. So she put messages out there to make fun of my dead mother, putting messages in the press, and I have all the security guys watching me anywhere I'm at. And the next thing they'll call you crazy, which is an unlicensed practice of medicine. A security guard doesn't know what craziness is. I could be angry, I could just be emotional. I'm not crazy, but if you're watching me, like, why am I on the phone? Who am I talking with? And they told them to be high alert, watch out for the black crazies. And they're looking up at this black in psych ward every day, every time. There's always a black person they're taking to the psych ward. I'm like, there's always a black person that taken it to the psych ward. And Michael Jackson's father said that also. He said when they start calling you crazy in America, especially if you're black, he said they're trying to kill you and get away with it. He said two people that don't have rights in America are crazy people are black. He said when they were calling this song crazy, he said no, they were going to kill him. They were calling song Wacko Jack. I said why they got a phone call? I was listening to that WBLS I was listening to today on a Sunday also. They called the program Open Line in 2009, and he was saying, and I was like, wow, Michael Jackson's father is saying the same thing my mother would say, because my mother was also locked up. I called the 911 on her to get her to go to the hospital, because while my immigration case was going on in 2001, my mother paid money to the lawyer. My lawyer stuff showed up in court. So my mother was working extra hours to make more money to hire a new lawyer for me, and she was going to school full time. So she was telling me she has problems sleeping, she's now sleep deprived, and she was telling me one part of her body feels stiff and one part of her body feels loose. So I called 911 and I was like, look, my mother's having high blood pressure, she can't sleep. And when we got to the hospital, they were looking at my mother like, okay, you're black, your body is tight, and she was telling them a part of her body feels tighter on this side, a part of her body feels loose on this side. Like, oh, crazy. Okay. And they took her and locked her up in the psych ward. And our blood pressure was this high, up to the sky. And and one of her friends who was from the Caribbean went to college with my mother. And he was like, what they did to my mother was really sad. They could have killed her. She had a high blood pressure. She was about to have a stroke. And instead they went and locked her up in the psych ward. They said this is what they always do to blacks. To ridicule blacks, call them crazy. And since then, they put the crazy label on my mother, and they were lying in the hospital. It's called St. Vincent Hospital, Bailey Seton Psychiatric Ward. And my mother called her daughters in Pennsylvania, Bolani and Florida, the sports brand, to come and help her. That Bolani didn't show up, only that Florida showed up. She said she was I said she didn't feel like coming. My mother was trapped in the hospital. They were misdiagnosed as crazy. So my mother made a phone call to both doctors to come and get her, free her from the hospital. But that Bolanle didn't show up. She was spoiled. She was like, she didn't feel like showing up. So only that Flora showed up. And that Flora told my mother to come with her to Pennsylvania and live like a crazy person. She said, don't challenge it. Said there's all kinds of benefits for crazy people. So that Flora was married to a U.S. soldier. So my mother said that Flora took her to Savannah, Georgia, at the military base, and told my mother to go and apply for military benefits and play them like she's really crazy, and try to get pension from the military and pretend like she's crazy. And my mother also had was a green card back then, so my mother fled out Georgia to go to Pennsylvania to live with her second daughter, Bolanle. Because she said that daughter was trying to get her in trouble, so she just played the U.S. military like she's crazy and applied for military benefit. And she gets caught. She just said, oh, she's crazy. She didn't know she wasn't a real military person. I said she applied for medical benefits for her. That she would pretend like she's a soldier. So my mother fled that Georgia, went to Pennsylvania to live with her other daughter, who was another spoiled brat. I said that daughter was so mean to her, Bolanle. So my mother eventually came back to New York. And she started working. I couldn't work. I was just staying at home. And my mother started working from that 2001 till 2015 when her daughter framed us crazy again and killed that Bellevue. So there's no hope for the black person in America. Just lock up. At night, I see them come with their handcuffs and start taking all the black people away, calling them crazy. And these people are not crazy. They said this Eric Adam and this Governor Oko. They created a mental asylum to be locking people in, because Trump was telling them that if any states want to get money, they have to be locking up homeless in the mental asylum. So I said, in order for them to get approved for money, so all kinds of people will try to menace me, spit to the anywhere, man. Menace me. I don't know if they work for the police or not, to get me angry, because they see me always eat. And I'm always sitting here eating and stuff. And just to disgust me, somebody left a drink arrow, so I never asked for them to leave a drink. And before they start leaving all kinds of trash around me, just to make me look crazy, start spitting. So I don't know if the police department, try to set me up to arrest me. They start spitting around me and try to provoke me for a fight. So this is out of control. The police out of control. And this Governor Oko, she is a bad egg, spoiling the bunch. I'm sure all police are not criminals in America, but with bad governors like this, getting people killed, militarizing the police force to abuse the black immigrant lives and the black lives, and doing it with a smile on her face, pretending like she's not racist, even though they've been saying she's been xenophobic, she's been a Republican, now she's a Democrat, and she was unlawfully blocking driver's license for undocumented immigrants. New York State always pioneers things, set a trend for human rights, and New York State was like the first state in America to approve driver's license for undocumented immigrants, because a lot of the undocumented immigrants wouldn't have insurance, and if they hit somebody, the person wouldn't get paid, because if you don't have a driver's license, you can't get insurance. So New York State came with the novel idea that why don't we just approve driver's license for undocumented immigrants? Start with get insurance, so if they hit somebody while driving, which is sometimes happens due to snow, due to all kinds of bad weather, inclement weather. So at least the victim can get paid. And I said the Governor Oko said no. I told her she was working as the commissioner for the Department of Motor Vehicles and illegally blocked undocumented immigrants from getting driver's license. So a lot of undocumented immigrants fled New York. So she was able to get these undocumented immigrants to go to Iowa. Iowa has a similar program, So she was able to get the undocumented immigrant to flee New York. So now she's been saying, get out of town, get out of town. So to her critics, she has one word for them: get out of town, get out of town. So she's trying to scare me out of New York, go to some Iowa somewhere. And I just went out to start life over. My mother is dead. My friend Agata is dead. My health is also, I have diarrhea. I have anemia. I don't know how to go to Iowa now. And hopefully, and she was hoping I could go flee America, flee New York, which is against the law. You can't force somebody out of the state. force repatriation between states is not allowed. Only the U.S. immigration can kick somebody out of the country. You know, so she's open. The law enforcement will get away with killing every gunner, and that's why she's putting the hint. Get out of town if you don't want to be killed. So please, the courts, you have to, this the age of internet is so good. I could email you, judge. I don't have to hire a lawyer. So please, I'm going to send you the evidence. So please, for my safety, please direct this governor to put me in a crime victim shelter. And comply with the law. Since 1990s, the Legal Aid Society filed a lawsuit that those being removed from basement apartments by the police have to be put in a hotel room and provided housing high priority. And please direct the legal aid. They have legal aid in upstate in Greene County also. To help me. The New York State Legal Aid Society doesn't want to help me as a Nigerian. So please, and for people that want to sex traffic me, I beg for money on the street and I beg for money online, so you can donate money to my Cash App NYC Homeless. And for people that want to sex traffic me, please, absolutely not. You can't. I'm not accepting money for sex trafficking purposes. I'm not trying to get married to anybody. I'm not accepting money for romance scams. So for people that want to sex traffic me, please don't donate money to me. I'm only looking for non-conditional humanitarian assistance, financial support. I prefer you donate to my Cash App NYC Homeless, but I do beg for money on the street. So if you want to give me money on the street, but please note your donation is to assist me as a non-conditional humanitarian assistance. I'm not looking to get married to anybody, like the guy that took me to his house and was raping me, said he wants to get married. And I believe people like that, when they marry you, and they can divorce you and get 50% of your money. Because I'm trying to sue for Bellevue Hospital, calling my mother crazy and killing her because her daughter's trained her as crazy in 2015. I'm trying to sue the police department for taking my home, killing my friend Garner. I'm trying to sue the U.S. immigration for locking me up in a psych ward. And I believe this is why this governor and some of the politicians here in New York are not helping me. They would rather have an American marry me and then I get killed by that black American, or they'd rather leave me out on the street and have somebody claim they were married to me, create a fake marriage. And after the police kills me, the person will go in and sue and claim I'm crazy and the statute of limitation should be extended. Or even if my mother's daughters, inherits my money by the police killing me, and then, they go to court and sue, said I was crazy, that's why I couldn't file no lawsuit to throw the statute of limitation. Because I was arrested 25 years ago by U.S. immigration, so the statute of limitations has expired. You got to sue U.S. immigration within 2 years for under the tort, alien under the law. I believe you have 2 years to file a notice of claim against the U.S. government, and then you can't file a lawsuit. But they can throw the statute of limitation if they claim you're crazy and you didn't understand who you are. So they already got the police to arrest me in 2019, but people were able to fraud that attempt because they were choking me on the floor and were taking me to the psych ward. People saw they were choking me, and and while I was in the psych ward, I called Nigerian Embassy, I called New York Times, I called New York Daily News to explain. They kidnapped me. This police department are trying to exploit me after getting my mother killed by kicking my mother out of her home, allowing her daughters to then kill her. Now they believe they can, if they kill me also, they can have somebody go make the money on my behalf, file a lawsuit and make money for excessive police force and make the money and then share it among the police and the corrupt politician. So this is why I believe they've been, creating this atmosphere of excessive police force. So and I believe since they've not been able to get somebody to marry me, because anyone that comes with a marriage, I tell them no, I'm good. So I believe they may have wanted somebody to, they've already misdiagnosed me as crazy, so all they need now is for somebody to marry me, and then the person can just choke me dead in the bed, and then go file a lawsuit on my behalf that said, this person is crazy, I had nothing to do with their craziness, they were diagnosed in 2019 as crazy when the police arrested me. So now that they're dead already, I want to sue U.S. immigration on their behalf, and the police will investigate how I died. Or have the police kill me on the street and have my mother's daughters inherit the money, because I'm unmarried, I'm single or married, I don't have a child, and if I die, my siblings would have been the ones to inherit the money. But absolutely not. Under the right to sepulcher, I'm stating right now, if I'm killed or if I die, no family member or friend should administer my estate. Only civil rights activists should administer my estate and get justice for me and my late mother. And provided those civil rights activists administer my estate have not denied me for the past, I'll prefer someone that hasn't denied me for the past as civil rights activists like me. And it's not related to me, it's not my, or doesn't claim, it's not my friend, to be the one to administer the estate and get justice for me and my late mother, and donate the rest of my assets to my state in charitable contribution to people suffering xenophobia like me and my late mother, and those being deported by Trump should be prioritized for assistance. And in case I'm running the same, someone try to knock me down with their bicycles, people try to punch me, anywhere I go, people try to punch, not the higher black American, I believe that police force and their Me Too is hiring black American thugs. Because I appealed to Me Too also. I told them in 2010 when the police came to take my home, they searched me naked in my home. They didn't have the right to do that. And in front of my mother, I told my mother to go outside and wait. And I told them I want to sue the police department for sexual harassment. And the Me Too told me, Gloria Albert, that's the lawyer, she told me she can't help me because if she helps me, the police will drop the case against R. Kelly and Weinstein, and the FBI will drop the case also against against these people, because they said she has to bribe them by not taking cases against them. So that's how they play the game in America. And I said, that's bribery, that's against the law, that's quid pro quo. I said, that's how the game is played. I said, and she told me she's able to score conviction against R. Kelly and Weinstein. Our clients will win a lot of money in civil court. So I've been exposing that Gloria Allred on the train, and since then, this governor and the Gloria Allred and the police department, they believe I'm better off just dead, killed already, to keep my mouth shut. I know civil rights activists will help me, and they believe if I'm killed, then they can just have my mother's daughters, claim to be my relative, get money as my relative and so. So in case I'm killed, no family member should inherit nothing from my estate. My estate should be administered, or friends should inherit anything from my estate. My estate should be administered by civil rights activists that haven't denied me for the past, and get just from me and my late mother, and donate the rest of my asset in my estate to a charity contribution to people suffering xenophobia like me and my dead mother, and those being deported by Trump should prioritize. So this one is going on. So please, if you're donating money to me, I'm not part of any sex cult. I'm not part of, so please don't try to donate money to me for that purpose. And I'm not in any religious cult. I'm not in any master-servant relationship. I was listening to a pastor on Instagram preach that if you're a Christian, all your money belongs to church. If you die, the church can move in and take all your money. No. I don't agree with that. My money doesn't belong to any church. I'm a Christian. Whatever money God gives me belongs to me. And the way I say my money should be used for that purpose. So I'm killed. And if I'm running disabled, I shouldn't be returned to Nigeria or any other country, because America has a lot of influence, and the American government is blocking the police from helping me. So I believe they can tell any police anywhere in any country to stop them from helping me. My mother has family in Canada and England. They refuse to help me, and my mother either. So my mother told me if she ever gets killed, I should stop. I shouldn't even contact family members. So I should only deal with strangers that are into civil rights that would help me. So my father has family in England also and all over the place, but I don't trust his family either, because my father was abusive to me. So please, anybody watching my video, please donate to my Cash App, NYC Homeless. So they bother me all the time. I have to keep recording 2 hours video. And I joined embassy. I have an agreement with you since the Nigerian government. When my father was abusing me, starving me in Nigeria, and I'm right there looking so small. At least people thought I was a 10-year-old. I was already, past 10 years. I was still a minor child. And the police in Nigeria said my mother should bring me here, and if I have any problems, the Nigerian government will help support me to stay here. Because it's still not safe for me to be in Nigeria or anywhere, because I'm a transsexual. I don't want to stay in Nigeria or anywhere else, because I have a lot to do here. A lot of crimes have been committed against my family, my mother, and me. And my father's also been killed, and my friend Erigard has been killed, so I have a whole lot to do. and I'm not safe in Nigeria either. So in case I'm disabled, I should be allowed to stay here, but with proper monitoring from the court to make sure anybody prefer civil activists that are thorough be the one in charge of my care. But there has to be proper monitoring to make sure anybody's not sexually abusing me, and nobody wants to take my sperm to impregnate themselves and create a baby. I heard of a lady in Florida nursing home. She was a white lady and she was in that nursing home for 10 years, and our nurse was a black American male. As soon as the nurse was working with her, she became pregnant. And the nursing home said she must have came in 10 years ago pregnant. And mother was like, no. And mother was like, our daughter is comatose for 10 years and our daughter was never pregnant. And she believed that daughter was being raped by the nurse. So when the baby came out of the comatose woman's womb, the mother of the comatose woman had the baby DNA test, and it saw it matches the male black American nurse, and they were able to get him arrested. I said the nursing home was covering up for the black American nurse. So hospitals are not safe in America. My mother said anytime they arrest her, put her in a psychiatric ward, they love trying to be touching up our genitalia, and they said nobody would believe her. So please, I've been in a psychiatric hospital here wrongfully. My mother's just lied on me. My mother took me to Pennsylvania in 2001 because we couldn't get a place to stay, and she tricked me to go with her to Pennsylvania. Said we're going to come back the same day. And when I was trying to get back with her, one of our daughter, Flora, hit me with a car and drove her away and left me on the street. And the other daughter, Bolali, called the police and I was crazy attacking people. And the police took me away, locked me up in Mercy Hospital, Pittsburgh. Mercy Psychiatric Hospital. I just came here from Nigeria in that 2001. So I told the hospital I had an immigration case. My mother brought me here from Nigeria and I was arrested at JFK. And I was bailed out of prison. I need to go back to the court. And my mother's daughter told the Mercy Hospital I was just crazy and delusional, that I don't have any court case. I had to call my lawyer, Ralph DiPietro. He's an Italian American. And he called the hospital and let them know that I really have a case. That's when the hospital released me. And the hospital apologized to me and said they didn't know that daughter, Bolali, was lying to them. They said she was lying, I didn't have an immigration case. And this was in 2001. 14 years later, that daughter, Bolali, came here and lied to Bellevue Hospital around this area, a little further down, and told the hospital that my mother was crazy, and they locked my mother up and killed my mother. So that Bolali and Sister Flora have gotten away with so much, they're spoiled. And, and this New York State police, through them, they can get away with killing me because those daughters will just go for the money and would love to inherit any money. So if I'm killed, absolutely not. Should those daughters, Bolali and Flora, any family member inherit anything for me? I've reached out to family members since I'm homeless. I post videos online, nobody donates money to me. So that lets you know where they stand. They don't care if I survive or not. And that's why my mother already told me the truth. That, those addresses were weird and acting strange. She was telling them to help me and they wouldn't help me either. So my mother told me that, I should never interact with her daughters. And she told me she was done with them. But they came shop, Valida Ipalaw. She didn't know who told our location to our daughters. And they stormed the hospital, came all the way from Pennsylvania and told the hospital to lock her up in Bellevue. While my mother was here getting treated for disease, she said that the daughter had already poisoned her with counterfeit poison. And my mother's leg was swelling up and her heart was about to have a heart attack. As soon as I started seeing that daughter in Manhattan here, and I saw she was lodged in a hotel called Four Seasons across the street from the Corporation Council's office in New York City, under Church Street. That's the place that has lawyers that represent NYPD after they kill civilians. And the door is, lodged in a hotel across the street from them. I think she sent a message to me. And one day I went to shop in Target store, and I saw her wearing all blue. Blue jeans, blue pants, blue everything. Blue like this. As I was going towards Target store, she was coming out of Target store, she was pushing the baby stroller. The last time my mother was alive, my mother said she didn't have a husband, she didn't have a child, but she appeared to be pushing the stroller, and she was wearing all blue. And she was lodged in a hotel, Four Seasons, across the street from the Corporation Council. They always represent the NYPD anytime the NYPD kills a civilian. They are the lawyers for the city of New York. So I don't know if she sent a message to this New York State. At that time, the police had just choked me, tried to kill me, stole my green card. So I think she's telling them, do it again, kill this person, and give the money to her, that Bolali. So there's police camera all around that area. So please, in case I'm killed, anybody watching this video, sue Governor Oko New York State and U.S. government for whistleblower, sue them for corruption, sue them for fraudulent attempted use of taxpayers' money. Nobody should kill a witness so that the NYPD that killed Eric Garner wouldn't go to prison. And even this, they said this Trump, in order to protect his friend Bernard Curry, I believe ordered the Eric Garner shooting, Eric Garner killing rather, after my mother called the NYPD terrorist. And this Bernard Curry was transferred, was the head of Homeland Security around that time, 2010. And he also put a Nintendo message in the newspapers saying the law enforcement deal with all kinds of losers in America. For example, loser parent that stayed with a loser son in the basement apartment. You know, and at that time I was a male, now I'm a woman. I was staying in the basement apartment with my mother. You know, and that Bernard Curry died of a heart attack some weeks ago. So, but Trump shouldn't be off the hook yet because he was pardoned by Bernard Curry for some other crimes. He was stealing money from the NYPD also. And now they just want to kill me, including this Governor Oko, this Trump, kill me, and give all the money to my mother's daughter to keep quiet, you know. So in case I get killed, people should sue the U.S. government. Any attempt to give my mother's daughters, Volani and Flora, or any of my relatives any money, you know, because absolutely not. None of them helped me. I've been posting videos online. Nigeria finished high school at 15. I was just, you know, and when I came to America with my mother was paying for my college education. I was getting straight A's, you know, but I had to drop out of college while homeless. And my mother used to put to her daughters to give me money so I can return to college, and they said no, you know. So people, I survived by people giving money on the street, you know. So people should be able to sue, you know, people, especially people that give you money, and even people, you have the right to whistleblow if they want to use their taxpayers' money to cover up a crime. You know, so absolutely not. Under the right of sepulcher, whatever I say when I'm alive, New York State has the right of sepulcher that says when somebody dies, whatever their belief is when they are alive should be followed through their death. So absolutely not do I want any family member or any so-called friend to inherit anything from my estate if I'm killed, because ain't nobody helping me except strangers. You know, I post videos online. I've been homeless for 15 years. And my mother was telling people everywhere that I'm homeless on the street, asking for help. Nobody helped me. You know, so why they're not helping me, whatever, that's their problem. I don't care. You know, I don't care if they want to claim, oh, we were so mistaken. Somebody told us that person was just crazy. No, they don't. If even somebody's crazy, you still help them. So that's just a lie. I think a lot of people that help me just want me to die so they can feign ignorance and they're moving to inherit. They want me to be killed. For whatever reason, they are bad people. Even if they, you know, they just don't care. You know, so absolutely no friend or family should inherit anything from my estate. As regarding me, my personal experience with a lot of the people I've interacted with, you know, the so-called family or friends, you know, they're bad to me, and that's all that matters. I don't care if they're nice to other people, fine. So no family or friend should inherit nothing from my estate. And my mother has another daughter in Nigeria. That daughter's name is Funke. So my mother said when I was a young child, that daughter tried to throw me out of the window of the house in Nigeria because she was angry that my father is different from our father. So my mother called the police to arrest her, but in Nigeria they don't prosecute child abuse cases. So our father's family, who are very prominent, went and set her free from the prison, and the police never prosecuted the case. So when my mother came here to America, you know, and before my mother died, that daughter was contacting my mother to file a green card for her, even though my mother became a U.S. citizen. And my mother said no, she doesn't want anything to do with that daughter Funke. You know, because that Funke tried to throw me out of the window of the house in Nigeria when I was a baby. You know, so I've dealt with all kinds of stuff like that, you know. So, you know, absolutely no family or friend should inherit anything from my estate. Only civil rights activists like me should administer my estate there just for me and my late mother, and donate the rest of charity for those suffering xenophobia like me and my late mother, and those being deported by Trump's terror attack. So this is what's going on. You know, so this is what is going on.